today's session, let us discuss one of the important theorem in the chapter similar triangles, that is basic proportionality theorem, or we call it as Thales theorem. Yes, who is Thales? Thales is a Greek mathematician who invented this idea about similar triangles. So this is named after that great mathematician, and we call this theorem, basic proportionality theorem, as Thales theorem. First, let us see what is the statement. Statement of Thales theorem is, if a line drawn parallel to one side of a triangle, okay, if a line is drawn parallel to one side of a triangle to intersect other two sides in distinct points, distinct means two different points, okay, intersect other two sides in distinct points, the other two sides are divided in the same ratio. Okay, the other two sides, okay, for which parallel is not drawn, okay, those two sides are divided in the same ratio. What is the meaning of this statement? Okay, let us learn this with the help of the figure. Okay, according to this statement, what is given here? If a line is drawn parallel to one side of a triangle. So first let us draw a triangle. Let us draw a triangle. Let me draw a triangle. Now here we have a triangle ABC. I'll draw a little bigger one. It is then easy to understand. Okay, we get triangle ABC. Now I name this vertex as B, this as C. Okay, now we have a triangle ABC. Now a line is drawn to one side of a triangle. Okay, drawn parallel. Okay, so if I consider the side BC, okay, base of this triangle, or BC as one side, I will draw one line which is parallel to BC. Okay, I will draw here a line. Okay, the line segment D, and name these points as D and E. Okay, DE is now parallel to BC. Okay, so I have drawn a line parallel to BC. DE parallel to BC. It is very clear now in the figure. Now, what is the statement? Here that line intersect other two sides. Which are the other two sides of the triangle? AB and AC. Okay, these two sides. Okay, this DE intersect, that means touches. Okay, intersect these two sides AB and AC at two distinct points. Which are these two distinct points? D and E are two distinct points, two separate points. Okay, two distinct points. Okay, now this is given. Okay, if this is the condition, then the other two sides are divided in the same ratio. Which are the other two sides? AB and AC. These are now, these two points D and E divide. Here point D divides AB in the ratio AD is equal to AD by DB. Isn't it? And the point E that divides AC into AE by EC. Okay. These two ratios are equal. That is the meaning of Thales theorem or basic proportionality theorem. Now, yes, you have understood the meaning of this statement. How can we prove it? Every time we cannot draw a figure and show, isn't it? ಪ್ರತಿ ಸಲ ನಾವು ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗೆಲ್ಲ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಪಿಕ್ಚರ್ ಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಅಥವಾ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಟು ಡೂ? ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಗೋ ಫಾರ್ ಅ ಲಾಜಿಕಲ್ ಪ್ರೂಫ್. ಸೊ ಲೆಟ್ us prove that now. So this is one of the important theorem in 10th board. In board paper, definitely you most of the time, yes, you get this theorem. One of the important theorem, and you will get it for 4 or 5 marks. If only if they give the statement in the question paper, if the statement is given, then you have to prove. For that proof, you will be having 4 marks. Sometimes the question is state and prove. Okay, so learning this statement is also very important. State and prove. For statement 1 mark and for proving another 4 marks. So very important theorem. So let us go through it now. Okay, now let us prove this statement. Now I raise this statement and based on the figure, let us prove this now. Now, what is the figure? Figure says here, in triangle, which is triangle? Triangle ABC. So what is given, or we always call it as data. Okay, given or data, both are same. While proving theorem, first part is you need to write data or what is given in the statement itself. Okay, in triangle ABC. Okay, so in triangle ABC, which is given, DE is parallel to BC. A line is drawn, DE is a line drawn which is parallel to BC. So DE is parallel to BC. And how are they? How is the line? They are parallel. And what one more thing is given. What is that? That D. Okay, D and E are two distinct points where they intersect the lines sides of the triangle AB and AC. Okay, let us write now that also. Yeah, the points D and E intersect at D and E, AB and AC at D, AB and D, AB and AC respectively. Okay, the points D and E intersect AB and AC respectively. That means D intersects, D is here, intersects AB and E intersects AC. Now, so DE is intersecting AB at D and DE is intersecting AC at point E. So D and E are points of intersection or intersecting points. Okay, now let us write what is to be proved. Okay, to be proved. Now let us continue with the proof. Before that, let us write what is to be proved. What is to be proved? Yes, the point D, okay, divides AB into the ratio AD by BD, and point E that divides AC into two parts, that AE and EC, and their ratios AD by BD is equal to what? AE by CE. That is to be proved. Let us write now AD by BD or DB is equal to AE by EC. This has to be proved. Okay, this has to be proved. How can we prove this? Directly, without any construction, can we prove this? No, it's not possible. So, to continue with this, we need to do some additional construction. Chumba students, you know one thing in exam. Suppose in case ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತೇ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಗೊತ್ತಪ್ಪ ನನಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತನೇ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, if you don't know, then what to do? Don't leave the question. At least draw figure. Okay, draw figure and based on the statement, write these statements. Okay, what is given, what is to be proved. Till here you can write, isn't it? At least you can write till here. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ಬರೀಬಹುದು ಹೆಂಗಾದರೂ ಮಾಡಿ, because everything is given the statement itself. Theorem statement ಎಲ್ಲ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Okay, ಅದನ್ನು ಇಷ್ಟಾದರೂ ಬರೆದ್ರೆ at least you get 1 mark. Don't lose. And don't get 0 mark in this question. Okay, so here you write to prove AD by AB, BD is equal to AE by EC. Now let us do some construction. Okay, so what is to be constructed? Let us see now. Construction. Okay, construction. Now, yes, let us join this BE. When you do additional construction which is not there in the statement, that should be done with dotted lines. Okay, let's do this now, and I will draw. I'll come EN, draw one perpendicular from the point E. Okay, I'll join BE and DC. Okay, and I draw the EN perpendicular to AB, and DM, I'll draw one more perpendicular, that is perpendicular to AC. Okay, so both are perpendicular. What does it mean? They are making 90 degree with that. Okay, so this is the additional construction we have done. Okay, that is join BE and CD, and here draw DM perpendicular to AE and EN perpendicular to AD. Right now, what construction we have done? Join BE and CD and draw DM perpendicular to AE. AC, that the whole side is, that is AC. Let me take AC, and it is perpendicular to AE also, isn't it? If it is perpendicular to AC, obviously it should be perpendicular to AE also. A small part to perpendicular ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. And other one EN perpendicular to AB or AD. So first part of the theorem is finished. Okay, now let us go for proof. You also finished till here? Now let us continue with this. Here. Now let us go for proof. How to write the proof? In your lower classes, you have learned how to find the area of the triangle. What is the formula to find area of the triangle? It is half into base into height. We are using that idea to prove this part. Okay. So we know that. What is the formula? We know that. Yes, all of you know this, isn't it? We know that area of a triangle is equal to, what is the formula? Area of the triangle is equal to half into base into height. Half into base into height. Okay. Now let us take one by one. Let me take the triangle ADE, first triangle. Okay, now triangle ADE, area of triangle ADE. Okay, ADE, triangle ADE. I have written ADE, I am taking AD as the base. Okay, this as the base now, AD as the base. Which is the corresponding height? This is nothing EN. Okay, EN. If I take AD as the base, ಇದನ್ನ ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಈ ಟ್ರಯಾಂಗಲ್ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಟ್ರಯಾಂಗಲ್ ತಗೊಂಡು AD ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ ಅಂಡ್ AD ನ ಬೇಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಟಿಲ್ಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಹಿಂಗ್ ಉಲ್ಟಾ ಮಾಡಿಕ್ಕೆ AD ನ ಬೇಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಟ್ರೆ what do we get now? This would be height or perpendicular. Okay, so let me show that. If I take the triangle like this and this is, suppose this is B and this is E. Now here perpendicular is drawn to AD, isn't it? And this point is N. So what is the formula? Half into base AD into height EN, isn't it? So let us write that now. Half into base is AD into height or perpendicular it is EN. This is one of the equation. Okay, this representation you know, AR of anta bardre area of. You have learned this in 9th standard. Okay, so area of ADE is equal to half into AD into EN. Now let me take the same sided triangle, one more. Okay, allu kuda namage we need to get EN as the perpendicular. We should get a common height. Okay, so which is the other triangle? I will take the triangle BDE, this one. Okay, BDE. I will draw and show you now how you get. It is triangle. This is the triangle. Which is the triangle B. This is this point. Point is B, D and E. This is the triangle. Okay, when you have, this is an obtuse angle triangle, isn't it? ಇದು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಯಾವ್ದು ಹಿಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಬೇಸ್ನ DBD ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ ಬೇಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ DE ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಹೆಂಗೆ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರು ಸಹ this is an obtuse angle triangle. That means angle is, one of the angle is more than 90 degree and less than 180 degree. Okay, so in obtuse angle triangles, okay, in case of obtuse angle triangles, how do you draw the perpendicular? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗತ್ತಾ perpendicular? ಇಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ perpendicular should be 90 degree only. ಅಥವಾ ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದಲೂ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಸೊಟ್ಟಗೆ ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಟ್ ಲೈನ್ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ ನಮಗೆ, 90 ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಹೌ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಯು ಡ್ರಾ? ಯೂಶುವಲಿ ಯು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು, ಎಸ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಡ್ರಾ this would be the height of the triangle, isn't it? This is the way we find. I will ಉಲ್ಟಾ ಮಾಡಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೀಗ. Whenever we have obtuse angle triangle like this, ಈ ತರ obtuse angle triangle ಇದ್ರೆ we draw the perpendicular here. Okay, we extend one of the side, extend the base and draw 90 degree. Okay, draw the perpendicular from its opposite side. So this is the height we get. So similarly, here we get height at this point. Okay, this one. Yes. So in this triangle, which is the height? This is not which point? PDE we got. This is point N. Am I right? Okay, so this part is EN part. So this is N. So how can we use the formula now? Half into base into height. Half into base is BD. We can't consider extended part, which is not original triangle. After extension, we got this part additional. So half into BD. Okay, perpendicular height between the sides, how much it is? EN. So we can write area of BDE is equal to area of triangle BDE is equal to half into, which is base BD, into height is here also EN. Okay, half into BD into EN. Now let us find the ratio between them now. Okay, ratio between them, it is now area of ADE by area of BDE is equal to half into AD into EN divided by EN. So here half gets cancelled. EN gets cancelled. What do we get? This is equal to, it is area of ADE by area of BDE is equal to what do we get? We get AD by BD. This is equation 1. Okay, AD, only AD and BD remains. So AD by BD, this is equation 1. Now we need to get another side, ratio of another side. Now I think you got an idea. Which two triangles must be taken? We have to take a triangle ADE on the other side, taking AE as the base and DM as the height or perpendicular. And which is the other triangle? Triangle DEC or SCED. That should be taken. Okay, now let me write. So finish this here till here. It is equation 1 we got now. Now please let me take another pair. Another pair, it is in triangle ADE, that is area of triangle ADE, taking AE as the base. Okay, this as the base. Now this base tagondre height yadu DM. Ide tara imagine ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. See AE na base ಆಗಿ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ this DM is the height or perpendicular. ADE is equal to half into this AE into DM. AE into DM. Okay, so this is the corresponding height. Okay, now another triangle. Which is the other triangle? It is triangle this one. Which one? DEC. Triangle DEC. Or we can write this as CED also. Okay, so now triangle CED is equal to, area of triangle CED is equal to half of, which is the base? Base is CE is the base, and which is the height? This DM is common height. Here for this triangle also, this is the height, and here for this obtuse angle triangle CED also, DM is the height. So this is the height. Now just imagine like this only now, this triangle. See, I'll show this now. This is the triangle now we have. Okay, this is the triangle we have. Okay, so here we got, this is the triangle we have. So this is which is this side, this is D, E, and this is C, CED. And here how can we draw the height? We need to extend this part and draw a perpendicular like this from this point D. So this is perpendicular now. So this point is M. Okay, so this is the triangle. Okay, obtuse angle triangle. So it is equal to half into what is the, which is the base? CE is the base now. CE is into CE or EC also we can write, because here there while proving. Okay, in the to prove statement we have written EC. So let it be like that only. Okay, EC into, yes, which the height? Height is DM. DM. So let us now divide now these two, that is AR by, now AR by, that is AR, that is area of ADE by area of the CED is equal to, that is half of AE into DM by half of EC into DM. So DM gets cancelled, half gets cancelled. So what remains? We get area of ADE by area of CED is equal to AE by EC. This is second equation. Now we do have both the equations, equation 1 and equation 2. Now how can we continue? Because we need to prove these two ratios are equal, isn't it? Sides AD by BD is equal to AAM or AD by DB is equal to AE by EC anta prove ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ನಾವೀಗ. So how do we get it now? Anyway, we need to cancel this one LHS part. If we cancel LHS part or remove that part, we can get the ratios, they are equal. How do we do that? Now see the figure. You have learned one theorem in 9th standard. That is, triangles standing on the same base and in between same parallels, they have equal areas, are equal in their areas. Okay, triangles standing on the same base and between the same parallel, okay, are equal in their areas. Now see this part of the triangle, that is DEBC, this CB, this part. So I'll just draw and show you now. It is this part. This is DE, and this is the part of the second half of the triangle. Okay, here these two are parallel sides, which are there, DE and BC. These are parallel sides, and see the triangles we got. So this is one triangle, which is that BDE, and which is the other triangle? This is the triangle. It is DEC. See now both the triangles are, which is the common base? This is common base for them. Okay, D is common base for both the triangles. So DE is common base for both the triangles DEB and DEC, and both the triangles are lying between a common parallel, that is DE and BC. So what do you say now? Their areas, the area of DEB or BDE is equal to area of CEB or BEC. Okay, both the triangles are equal in their areas. Which part? I'll show now. This part. Okay, this part, area of this triangle and area of this triangle. Now, see, now we got a part. Okay, so this is one of the triangle. These areas is equal to this area. Okay, so here these two areas are equal. This is common area for both. Okay, so we use that logic here now. So area of ADE, and if you divide now both now. Okay, if you divide this both. Okay, ADE, that areas ADE is common for both. Now we need to cancel this part. How can we cancel? Because CED, after that which one? CED, this area, and BDE, this area also equal. So they are also equal, isn't it? Okay, if you consider X as the area, both are X only. So when you divide, what happens? They get cancelled. X and X gets cancelled. So how can we prove this now? How can we continue? Now divide 1 and 2. By dividing 1 and 2, by dividing, or you can, instead of this, you can write the reason directly and write the conclusion part. It's more easier, that one. Okay. So if you divide this, what do you get? ADE get cancelled. And since these two areas are equal, they also get cancelled. So what do we get? 1 by 1 we get. So this part, both get cancelled. We get 1 by 1. Okay. So 1 divided by 1 is equal to what? AE by EC by AD by BD. So when you transpose, what do we get? This equals this. Okay. We know that area of triangle CED is equal to area of triangle both are equal. Area of CED is equal to area of BDE. Anyway, these two are common triangles, ADE, ADE. So, let us take this as equation 3. By equation 1, 2 and 3. Okay, by all these reasons what I have explained, what can you say? By equations 1, 2 and 3, we write it is 1 by 1 is equal to what? AE by EC whole divided by what? AD by BD. AD by BD. So, if you transpose, that is cross multiplication if it is done, this comes here, that is equal to, this implies AD by BD is equal to AE by EC. So, what do you say about this now? AD, this is AD by BD and AE by EC or CE. Okay, CE, AC, both are same. So, what do you say? This theorem has been proved. Okay, hence proved. So, hence proved. Hence proved. So, very easy now. We have proved Thales theorem or basic proportionality theorem. Children, listen here. Whenever you learn some theorem, don't by heart. Okay. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಟ್ರಯಾಂಗಲ್ ಅನ್ನು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು ಅಂದರೆ ಉಲ್ಟಾ ಪಲ್ಟಾ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ರೆ, ಈಗ ಟ್ರಯಾಂಗಲ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಟಿಲ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಅಥವಾ ಬೇರೆ ನೇಮ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ PQR MNO ಹಿಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ನೇಮ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು, ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಹೌ ಟು ಪ್ರೂವ್ ಇಟ್. ಅದು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. ಲಾಜಿಕ್, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಲಾಜಿಕ್ ಬಿಹೈಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್, ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಪ್ರೂವ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸಿಲಿ. ಯು ನೀಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬೈ ಹಾರ್ಟ್. ಬೈ ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಈಗ ಸಪೋಸ್ ಡಿ ಬದಲು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇ ಬರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ರೈಟ್ ಹಿಯರ್, okay, some letter, suppose one letter ಹಿಂದೆ ಮುಂದೆ ಆದರೂ ಕೂಡ, then your whole theorem will be wrong. Proof will be wrong. Okay, you won't get any marks for that. So, please understand the theorem and practice it. Okay, now I'll just show with some more examples. Okay, let me explain the same theorem with some more examples. So, let us take one more theorem. One more triangle now. I show this now. This now I have a triangle PQR. PQR and line is drawn parallel to the side PQ. Okay. Now this is the point E and F. Okay. E and F are the points. They are distinct points. They intersect. Okay. They are dividing PR and QR. Okay, this EF intersects at PR at E and PQR at F. So now these two are parallel sides. How can you explain Thales theorem or basic proportionality theorem for this? Here EF is parallel to PQ. So which are the other two sides? PR and QR. Okay, so it is equal to RE by EP is equal to other two terms, RF by FQ. Suppose we have a triangle like this, a triangle like this, and now here this is the parallel line. I name this as EFG is the triangle and PQ is parallel. Here PQ and EF are parallel. How can you explain Thales theorem for this? Here this is PQ is parallel to EF. So GP for this, GP by PE or EP is equal to F by FQ. FQ. This is the way you can understand Thales theorem. So very simple now. So since this is very important theorem, please practice. Okay, practice makes perfect. So next in the the next class, we go for the exercise